In this video, I will show you both my first and second outdoor ponds and discuss some of the errors that I made and some of the successes in both. My first pond was 10 feet by 20 feet by 2 feet deep and lacked a bottom drain. The reason being that I had no idea bottom drains even existed until my trip to Japan a couple of years later. As you can see from the accompanying photos, this pond had a nice bright blue custom-made swimming pool liner installed. An underwater planting shelf surrounded the pond on all sides. Hidden behind the waterfall at the rear of the pond was a DIY filter that did the job, sort of. To further enhance the pond, I added some Japanese decor and, of course, the koi. With the warmer months and warmer water, the plants flourished. Unfortunately, the koi did not do so well, primarily due to two causes: a lack of proper filtration leading to improper water quality, and my constant addition of various chemicals trying to achieve the perfect water balance: pH 7.0, no nitrate, no ammonia, no nitrite, and so on. I very quickly learned, with the loss of a few koi, that as an inexperienced koi keeper, what I was hoping to accomplish was an impossibility. What started out as a labor of love quickly turned into heartache as I saw the koi drop one by one, and my labor of love turned out to be nothing but labor. Unfortunately, when I built the pond in the early 1970s, the internet did not exist and was very little written information about the care of koi or the proper way to do a pond. I learned the hard way through trial and error, mostly error, that keeping koi was going to be a lot more work than I anticipated, but being stubborn, I refused to give up. Over the next couple of years, through my membership in the BKKS and my 2 trips to Japan, I soon learned what I had been doing wrong, and my passion and obsession with koi quickly began to grow. And before long, my desire for a bigger, better pond took hold. I built my second pond a few years later when I moved to a different house. This pond, as you will see in the upcoming photos, was significantly larger than the first pond, and this time I was smart enough to put in a bottom drain. Where I resided at the time, it was necessary to obtain a building permit from the town before you could start construction, and to do that you had to provide a drawing, although it did not have to be to scale, along with proof that you had checked to make sure there were no services involved in the area the pond was going to be built, such as hydro, gas, water, etc. There are also restrictions with regard to where the pond can be placed in relation to property lines and fences and the house itself. Once I had received the proper permits from the city, I began my hunt to get the materials I was going to need to build the pond. One of the first items I obtained was 9 tons of limestone rock that was going to be used around the pond as a surround and to build the waterfall. The next step was to place some of the rock where it was going to form the first portion of the wall, and to outline in the ground where the excavation was going to begin. Having done that, I installed some markers in the ground to determine the circumference of both ends of the pond that I was hoping to achieve. My next step was to hire someone with a mini excavator to start the actual dig. With the site of the pond being almost entirely hard clay, digging by hand became an impossibility due to the size and depth I was hoping to achieve. It only took one afternoon to complete the rough excavation of the pond, but as you can see in the picture, it left me with a huge mountain of dirt that had to be removed. By the time all was said and done, I ended up trucking away almost 20 cubic yards of soil from my yard. You can see the size of the bin as it relates to my car. My next job was to get into the excavation and smooth out the rough edges left by the machine. This took me about 2 weeks to complete because, again, of the size of the hole and being all clay, and it was all done by hand using pick and shovel. Once I was happy with the results, the liner was installed, including the bottom drain that you can see in the photograph. The next thing I did was to work on my filter pit, which I did to accommodate the vortex and filter that I had available at the time. While in my mind it started off as planned, I quickly realized that it made access to the valve for the bottom drain extremely difficult and left absolutely no room for expansion. My only option was more digging and the expansion of my filter pit by approximately the same size again, doubling its size in total. Once that was done, I went out and purchased an Easy Pod filter and included that in the filter system. With improved filtration, the pond full, and the filter system operational, the koi were added. Because I hadn't yet had an opportunity to build a gazebo or cover for the pond, I decided instead to build what I call my koi dome to provide some shade for the fish on the hottest days. This was constructed out of PVC piping and heavy-duty window screening and is 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet tall in the middle where the dome is. On very sunny days, all of the koi can fit inside and all you will see is the odd tail sticking out from one end or the other. Some landscaping was added and the pond really began to take shape. The koi quickly adapted to their new pond and enjoyed being hand-fed, and loved coming to see what treats were available to them. The pond also very quickly became an extremely large water bowl for my St. Bernard Angus. He didn't mind the fish, and they certainly did not appear to mind him putting his nose into the water. Enough of me talking for now. As this is a koi channel, the best thing to do is let you enjoy the koi. Of course, being in Canada, winter here means ice and snow, and the pond quickly became Angus's favorite place to rest during the winter. Thank goodness he was clever enough to wait until the ice could support his 125 pounds weight. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and in my next video, my pond build part 2, I will be getting into detail about my current pond. If you like what you've seen so far, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, as there's much more to come and your support is definitely appreciated. Thank you and take care until the next time.